have some news about special counsel Jack Smith, this man right here. Donald Trump said recently that he would fire Jack Smith, quote, within 2 seconds of taking office. Well, we found out that he may not have that opportunity. The reason is that the Department of Justice, where Jack Smith works, cannot prosecute a sitting president. Fox News is told that Jack Smith will be gone from his post as special counsel, meaning the cases will be gone before Trump takes the oath of office at noon on January 20th. This is the documents case, though that was dropped already by Judge Eileen Cannon back over the summer, and it's on appeal, but also this case for Trump's alleged efforts to try to overturn the 2020 election. So given the fact DOJ policy says you cannot prosecute a sitting president, expect Jack Smith's cases to be done. The last case, and I'll end on this, is that Atlanta case that deals with the 2020 elections. That's a local Georgia case. We've seen over the last year how that has played out with Fonnie Willis, Nathan Wade. That has many problems, many different delays. So the bottom line for my story to all of you right now, Donald Trump's legal problems have essentially all gone away since he won last night.
Yeah, crazy to say, right? They have literally thrown everything at this man, including the kitchen sink. I mean, they tried to publicly shame him, from, calling him Hitler and he's rallying Nazis to everything else, right? They tried to prosecute him. I mean, the guy's been in and out of courtrooms all over the place. They tried to take his life, not once, but twice, right? And, honestly, I don't know, but I think it could happen again. I hope he has great security, because that's really all they have left at this point. Really all they have left. Well, they have the House, which could slow him down a little bit, which that one's concerning me a little bit, which I don't think enough people are talking about. I know this is like completely off topic, but I do want to touch on it a little bit, because I don't think enough people are talking about, these House races that were supposed to be won by Republicans, and Republicans are not winning them right now. Now, you could say what you want about that, right? If there's this or that possibly happening with some of these races, but Decision Desk has currently lowered the possibility of Republicans winning the House down to 85%. Now, I know that's still a heavy, a high percentage, but it was as high as almost 95. They've dropped it down to 85. So we'll see how that turns out. But it is worth noting that obviously if Trump doesn't have the House, it's going to make things a bit more difficult to, pass things along. As well as if Democrats have the House, they're going to put up a fight to not certify the election. I can almost guarantee that. As a matter of fact, Jamie Raskins had said as much. So I think they've only been quiet about it because it was projected, and still is projected, that Republicans win the House. And I want to put it up on the screen for you guys because this, like I said, it's a bit concerning, man. It really is. So here you can see the House race, okay? Like I said, they lowered it down to 85. It was as high as almost 95. When was this? This was yesterday. Okay. But it's just constantly been dropping lower and lower and lower. So we shall see how this all plays out. But if he doesn't win the House, we could be in some trouble there. But he is in the White House. We already have the Senate. So that's good. And let's see here. I could bring up the Senate again. Yeah, we already have the Senate. Okay, so that's secure. That's secure. We were looking at Sam Brown possibly winning, but of course, late night mail-in dumps. Of course, it's always the late night. It's always the late night dumps that boost Democrats. Carrie Lake is unfortunately behind. I like Carrie Lake. I really do. I really do like Carrie Lake. I hope she wins. She still does have a shot because there's only 37% in, I believe there's another red county. Yeah, 48% in, 72, 81, 61. Yeah, so a lot of these red counties, well, that one's 65. This one, yeah, so some of these red counties still have a lot to count. The blue counties have a decent amount, but the red counties have a bit more than the blue. So there's still a shot that Kari Lake could win, but I'm not holding my breath on that one. But yeah, it is quite interesting to see how all of a sudden they drop these criminal cases. And their excuses, and I know I'm jumping from topic to topic. I just felt like I needed to touch on the House situation because everybody is just like, well, Trump's got the popular vote. He got the Electoral College. He got the Senate, and he has the House, and he doesn't have the House yet. Not quite yet. I hope he does. We are projected to take the House, and I hope we still do. We should, but not yet. Not yet. So I just wanted to put people on notice for that because I've been watching it and I've been hearing everybody say Trump's won the House, and it's like it's getting a little sketchy. It's getting a little sketchy. So I hope the RNC is still making sure that everything is counted properly the way that they did with this election. I think the RNC did a fantastic job too. I know I'm bouncing around a whole lot, but the RNC did a fantastic job because every time or any time that there was any even hint of interference, the polls closing early, like RNC was on it. People talking about at polling locations or counting locations talking about stopping the count. RNC was on it, like RNC has been on it every single time. There was reports about some illegal ballot dumps or something, and RNC was on it like every single time. They were on top of it, and that's the way it should be. And lo and behold, 15 million votes just didn't show up for Democrats. Kind of interesting how that works, but, we're not here to discuss that, okay? We are not here to discuss that, not today. But, yeah, man, the whole dropping of these cases is quite interesting because it really goes to show, at least in my humble opinion, that all of this was total BS. Because if you truly had a case against someone, and your excuse is, well, you can't go after a sitting president. Well, Trump isn't the sitting president. I don't know if anybody knew, but like I'm happy he will be the sitting president, but he isn't currently. So why can't you go after him again? Because he's not the sitting president now. It sounds to me as if they know this whole thing was total hogwash, and they're trying to not get on Trump's bad side and like, yo, we just gonna drop everything, you got it, boss, you got it. Which is also scary for Trump too, because I think Trump realized, yo, if I lose, these folks are gonna throw me in prison for the rest of my life, which is crazy to even think about. And some of these Democrats out here need to be prosecuted.
Yeah, Chris, it's not a surprise that these cases can't go forward when Donald Trump takes office. What's interesting here is that the DOJ is moving to end them even before he takes office, citing the long-standing DOJ policy that sitting presidents can't be prosecuted. And there was some thought that maybe Special Counsel Jack Smith was going to sprint through the finish line, was going to work up until the last day, force Trump to fire him, wait till a new attorney general was appointed. But that does not appear to be the thinking inside the department. The thinking is that these cases can't go forward. There's no reasonable prospect of getting to trial within the 3 months before Donald Trump takes office. These cases are mired in legal issues that would be appealed all the way to the Supreme Court had Donald Trump lost the election. So now that he's won the election, DOJ officials are thinking that, look, there's just no room to move in these cases. And so the sensible thing to do is to figure out a way to wind them down. And it may stem from Donald Trump's lawyers filing some kind of motion or making a request saying in light of the DOJ policy, you need to drop these cases. Now, there are a few wrinkles here, one of which is that the classified documents case includes 2 other defendants who are not subject to that policy. And it's been dismissed, obviously, but that dismissal has been appealed. And the DOJ considers that ruling to be very bad law that it would like to be overturned. So that appeal may continue in some form. But the reality is that Donald Trump is not going to be a part of these cases. And what this means, I mean, we knew this, right? But just coming to grips with what this means intellectually is that Donald Trump is not likely to be held accountable on these very serious federal criminal charges that many people believe were worse than what Richard Nixon did or was accused of doing in Watergate. Now, there's no guarantee that Donald Trump would have been convicted at trial, but as Joyce Vance, our legal commentator, said to me this morning, what's not going to happen is he's not going to face a jury of his peers who would evaluate the evidence and render a verdict. It's going to be lost to history whether a jury would have found him guilty of these very serious crimes.
Well, I think the jury has been the American people in this election. And the American people have clearly said that we don't believe you in these fake cases. Get out of our face. I think that was overwhelmingly clear. I think that was abundantly clear. And even if you want to, go as far as taking a look at some of these Senate and House races, there were places like Ohio, for example, and that's another thing too. We got to start picking some better candidates, because there were some candidates that were on the ballot, for Republicans that was like, yo, why is this person like, what is this? But anyway, I digress. I know some of y'all probably feel the same way, like, yo, why do we have this candidate? But there were some places where people literally voted for Trump and then voted for the Democrat in the House or the Senate. Yeah. Check the box for Trump, but then voted for a Democrat. That says a whole lot to me, because if you can vote for a Democrat while also voting for Trump, knowing all of these cases are looming over his head, knowing that the media calls him Hitler and all of this other stuff, that Trump's supposed to be the bad guy and blah, 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 that says a lot to me. And that says that the American people have spoken, and the American people have said that, we don't believe you, and these cases are completely and utterly bogus. I mean, I feel like that's as clear as day, in my humble opinion, when you have a situation like that. But, who am I? I'm just a talking head online. So you guys let me know your opinions on this.
In terms of your reporting, given how the polls showed this would go, given that the Trump campaign didn't think this would go this way, given that the Harris campaign didn't think this would go this way, I mean, did Jack Smith have this all sort of as a possibility really prepared? Or is he also, just as human being Jack Smith, reacting to this in the moment and trying to figure it out?
So in speaking with my sources, they were not aware of any discussions that had happened prior to today, and said this is really the first time there have been formal discussions. But everyone who's been looking at the polls knew that this was a possibility, right? I mean, Trump has been asked what would he do regarding Jack Smith if he was reelected. But I'm told that the formal discussions, according to my source, have begun in earnest today. And it's going to take them several days to figure out exactly what this looks like and what they'll do. I'm also told not to expect likely any court hearings, that these would likely be filings, if anything, that would try to resolve these cases.
So, Ellie, look, we've been talking about this for years now. Okay, we've been talking about this for years. Trump's appeared in courtrooms. We've all gone and sat in courtrooms where Trump has appeared in downtown New York. He's actually scheduled to appear in a New York courtroom in just under 3 weeks to receive a sentence for his conviction on 34 counts of falsifying business records. So what happens to all of those cases? Is that even happening as a sentencing, or is that just gone?
Well, Aaron, I do think the state sentencing, now we're getting away from the DOJ federal cases that Paula was talking about, but I do think that state sentencing will proceed on November 26th. The reason is the judge in that case, Juan Merchan, originally had scheduled the sentencing for September, which would have been before the election. And then in a somewhat surprising ruling, he said, actually, I don't want to do anything that might impact the election. Therefore, I'm going to put it off until after the election. So now impacting the election is no longer a concern. But this will be a surreal moment. We are going to have the president-elect, not just a former president, but now the president-elect going into a county-level court to receive his sentence. But I do want to stress this. No matter what the sentence is that Judge Merchan pronounces, if this goes ahead in a few weeks, it's almost entirely symbolic and formalistic. There is no way that the president-elect will be locked up. Even in an ordinary circumstance, he would probably be allowed to appeal before he has to serve a sentence. So it'll be an important moment, an interesting moment. But anyone who's thinking Donald Trump is going to be locked up needs to just let go of that fantasy.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just, this is just a moment for people to consider what a different world we are living in than this country was living in 6 months ago on all of these stories.
Which is also kind of funny because, you know, the entire left was happy and celebrating. Oh, he's a 34 count felon. Oh, my goodness. Oh, he owes them $500 million. You remember they were calling Trump broke because he couldn't pay, what was it at that time? It was like $300 million. Joy Reid literally got on live television and basically called Donald Trump broke because he couldn't pay up $300 million. And it's just like, yo, anybody who's smart financially that has a large sum of money knows just having a large sum of money sitting around is actually detrimental. There's zero benefit to that. You should move that money into assets. Therefore, you're not as liquid cash. So yeah, you may not have 300 million, but you're still worth several billion because of the assets you have. You don't have the cash because you put it into assets that increase in value. A dollar sitting on your desk, like this one has been for quite a while, does not increase in value. It decreases in value. But, you know, what am I going to invest with a buck? what am I going to invest in, right? With that. So, yeah, it was crazy to hear that. But I remember talking about that in the video. And actually, I showed you guys the clip, if I remember correctly, of her saying that. Because it was just, like, mind-boggling. Like, how you would twist your mind to say that somebody is broke because they don't have $300 million in cash. Like, what? In what world does that even make sense? But anyway, I also want to show you guys this clip of Letitia James because what she does here screams of desperation. It screams of, I messed up and I'm going to try to stop anything from happening before it happens because I know they're coming. Check out this clip.
Great. And lastly, I congratulate the President-elect Donald Trump. And if possible, we will work with his administration. But we will not compromise our values or our integrity or our principles. We did not expect this result, but we are prepared to respond to this result. And my office has been preparing for several months because we've been here before. We faced this challenge before, and we use the rule of law to fight back. And we are prepared to fight back once again.
Fight back against what, exactly? Fight back against what? To me, that seemed like a preemptive threat so that Trump doesn't prosecute her on her crimes. So that Trump doesn't go after her for the wrongs that she has committed. That's what that sounds like to me. It also sounds like her trying to frame it in a way that makes her seem like she's completely innocent. So when or if Trump does go after her, which I believe he should and will, it's going to seem like he's being a dictator and trying to go after his opponents. When in reality, she was wrong from the start, and he's just holding her to the same standard that they claim to be holding Trump to, which is also interesting because like they make it sound and seem as if Trump is the only criminal in this equation. I mean, completely bogus. Trump isn't a criminal at all, and you see it throughout these cases that have just fallen by the wayside, and now the DOJ is allegedly just getting rid of the case, even before he even becomes president. Kind of interesting. You know, if you had all this evidence, if you have all of this, you know, proof that Trump is this big, bad criminal, he's not president yet, so you could still prosecute him. Why wouldn't you do it? I don't know. I'm just calling BS on their narrative, you know? But what do y'all think? Let me know. Stay safe out there. Peace and love. I'm out.